a little bit frustrating is people seem to think that there's this big, hard, laborious process that you need to go through in order to be evolved or be aware or whatever. And the simple fact of the matter is all you need to do is change your mind, change your perspective. You just remove the beaver dam, you know. And if you go back to your natural state, you are spirit having a physical experience. Allow yourself to be that.
Well, it is that simple. But when you are unconscious of being unconscious.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Which is, well, that's a big piece, which is what the third dimensional world is and what most of the people walking on the street are. It's as simple as it is, it's not understood. And it's not understood for very specific spiritual reasons, physical, emotional reasons also, is the wiring is no longer in place. When the fall of Atlantis occurred, we created a new dynamic called the third dimension in the way we play it, and we created things such as third dimensional time. Now, time is an application. It's not a given structure.
Right.
And so, but if you play in that application, you get those results. And the third dimensional time is about past and future, not about the present. And we third dimensional folks, most who are unconscious of being unconscious, have learned to live in fear and doubt and blame and guilt. We've learned that. It's what we've chosen in the game that we're playing. It's not easy to unwind out of that. And then to keep it going, we look into the past and say, I didn't like that. I hope it doesn't happen to me in the future. And we engage the rational mind to justify, to rationalize, to make sense of why that one over there is never going to be a good one. And so it's simple to say, take the beaver dam out. But when we get stuck in all of the structuring, we'll argue with the beavers.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So there's a place where this is not a what's wrong with you or anybody place. It's an understanding on each of our parts that there is nothing wrong with anybody. However, the wiring is not in place. And so as people start to recognize they have different choices and different places to perceive from, and this is a lot of the Mastering Alchemy tools, is you start to find that you can influence your experience on your terms. But when it's blame and guilt and he said, she said, and it happened this way yesterday, so therefore, you know, I was stolen from yesterday, the banks took advantage of me yesterday, they are going to do it to me, you have no power. The minute you can say, this is my game, and I have my foot in a pile of stuff, and I don't like how it smells, and I don't even know how it happened, but the minute you can say, I did that, I put my foot there, I don't like it, I'm not excited about it, I'm not pleased with it or proud of it, but I did this, the minute you can own it, you have the power to take your foot out of the pile. But when you go, they didn't give me a raise, and they didn't fix my car, and I don't have enough money to, and nobody likes me because, you will sit and spin in that third dimension, unconscious of unconscious, for a long time. If you can own the pile that you put your foot in, you can take your foot out of it.
Exactly. And by not owning the pile, you know, people don't realize they're actually allowing themselves to stay in victim mode. And they're not free. They will never be free.
But no decision is a decision. You know, but what really gets to be interesting about this shift, and we're in just the simplicity of starting to recognize that 96% of the game is becoming aware. If you can just realize, oh, my foot is in that pile, you've just managed to take your 96% of the way to the end.
Right.
That's huge. The next piece is the really key piece, and that's the next 3%. And the next 3% is recognizing I have my foot in that pile of stuff, and then choosing not to argue with it. Not to go in, whose dog did this? Where did this come from? Let's go to the city council and argue for new laws. See, to do that, take that position, you have to leave your foot in that pile to argue for it.
Right.
But the minute you can say, oh, wow, this isn't serving me, change is 1%. So people think change is the hard part. No, it's choosing to experience yourself differently than you were in a moment ago. And once you become aware of it, 96% of the game, you're really well on your way. But most of us argue for that, well, whose dog did this? And then we spin and spin.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. You know, it's looking for blame, and I can understand the psychology behind it, because if it was somebody else's fault, then you can duck behind. But the thing is, fault doesn't come into it. Things were just what they are, you know?
It's not even a psychology of the moment. It's the habit that we continue to repeat over and over. Because if you change the habit, the psychology that supports the habit goes away also. So you're right on. You're exactly correct. But in order to do these things, see, the third dimensional world is made up of a set of rules and structures. Fourth dimensional world is also made up of a set of rules and structures, but they are different. You are living in both that third and fourth dimension simultaneously right now.
Right.
And the key to it is, one of the big pieces, besides time is a huge piece, but one of the big pieces is recognizing that reaction is a third dimensional response. Choice is a fourth dimensional response. In order to choose, you have to be in present time, and you have to be aware of yourself, basically being aware of yourself. I choose to turn left, or I choose to turn right. That's a conscious decision. Whereas in the third dimension, everything is in reaction. Oh, no, this wasn't supposed to happen. I better clean this up. There's no choice in that. It's all reaction.
Right.
And begin to distinguish between reaction and the choice to react or not, and the choice to choose rather than react. You are in that 96% of the way home game. And it's a big deal, but it's simple. Now, people listening, many of them will go, oh, yeah, I get it.
No, they don't, not really.
well, no, they do at the moment. But this is where the wiring is not together. So it's as if sometimes you've watched people, you say something, and as you're talking, they're just glazing right over. It's like, the wiring is not there for them to accept, hear, understand, integrate what's being said. It's not a problem. It's pretty much a fact. Are they bad? No, there are no bad people, but there is.
No, that's judgment.
Yeah. So, but right in this space, it's just like I say what I just said, and there'll be many people who'll go, oh, yeah, I get that. And if I pause for a minute and I say, what did I just say? They'll go, I don't remember. It was really good, though. What happens is the wire comes together, and you have this aha. And then because the energy is such that it's not able to sustain the connection, because the aha takes you up. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is great. But then you drop back down a little bit, the wire disconnects. And you go, oh, it was really good, whatever he said, she said, but I don't remember. What is now beginning to happen is you say it again, and all of a sudden they go, oh, I get it. This time the wire stays connected. And the whole part of this shift we're in right now, this transition over the last few years, has been about reconnecting the wiring. And it's been in a way that has been a little difficult, and yet we've had room to do it. So going back to your first question, though, is now we are going to find ourselves making decisions, making choices, because things are changing right in front of us. I'll give you an example. The Haiti earthquake. That was not really an earthquake. That was a statement.
Oh, yeah.
What was said in that situation, going into the change, going into January, the year of change, there were 200,000